Welcome, Evan Culbert. We're super excited to have you on the A Squared Pro team this year. Tell us about yourself and who you are as a professional triathlete.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm Evan. I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, swimming and swam a lot growing up as a kid, and grew up biking across Iowa on this annual rag ride. It's called this bike ride across the state of Iowa. So kind of got into swimming and biking that way, and then swam throughout high school year round, and decided not to swim in college, and went to a big school, University of Missouri, and joined the Tri Club, and had a lot of fun doing that through undergrad and grad school. And after towards the end of school, I won the age group national championships and had a coach convince me to move out east to the East Coast and train with a squad out there, and take my pro card. And so been out there the past couple years until recently moving out to Boulder, Colorado this year. So yeah, that's the nutshell. But triathlon's been a lot of fun, and I've really been enjoying it and happy to be part of A Squared. So excited for this year.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about your triathlon journey a little bit more. You let me in on some secrets that you might not have had a smooth sailing into the world of triathlon as a professional triathlete. What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely the past couple seasons since going pro have not been the smoothest. I'm actually a physical therapist as well, so I've typically been able to stay pretty healthy in the past. But when I took my pro card, I had done like one race as a pro, the New York City Triathlon, and went really well. Was really excited, and then the following week had another race coming up, and took a pretty bad crash on the bike and broke my collarbone and tore my obliques and just banged just about everything up, and had to get surgery for that. And so that was kind of a rough start to the pro career. Took a little bit to come back from that. And then the following year, of course, right as COVID was hitting, I also broke my ankle. And much less cool of a story. I was not biking. I was just walking to the bathroom in the middle of the night, tripped over a foam roller, broke my ankle, and probably TMI, but I actually, while peeing, passed out and came to on the floor with my wife opening the door into my broken ankle. So anyway, that's another story. But yeah, so that kind of, was a little rough coming back from that and just getting back into training. But super healthy right now. Excited for a normal season. Hopefully, things go smoothly and COVID doesn't get in the way too much. But yeah, it's nice to be training healthy again, and hopefully have a solid, season as a healthy pro this year. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Goodness, the dangers of being a physical therapist, tripping over your foam roller.
I
I mean,
know. It was it was not my smoothest move at all. But and of course I was like, I think it was actually it was like the same weekend I ended up getting my A Squared, the Speed Freak, the bike. And so I was like so excited to ride it, and I thought I just sprained the ankle. So the next couple days I was building the bike up just on my broken ankle, like hoping I would be able to ride, and then went in, got it x-rayed, and sure enough, it was broken. So unfortunate start there, but yeah, no, I'm good now. I'm healthy. Training's going great out here in Colorado. So trying to just keep healthy and not trip over any foam rollers. So
yeah, lesson learned. Well, you have a
yeah.
particular insight then as both an athlete and a physical therapist when it comes to coming back from injury. A lot of athletes, whether they're professional or even us amateurs, we get repetitive strain injuries, we fall off our bikes. Do you consider yourself a good patient when it comes to recovery, or a bad one? We would think a physical therapist would be better, because I imagine a lot of your job is telling people to, like, okay, chill out, like, you got to recover.
Yeah.
But how do you actually function as an athlete in recovery and repair mode?
Yeah, you'd think, right? You'd think that'd be the case. I've definitely learned my lesson the hard way in the past, just when it comes to repetitive, stress injuries and kind of pushing through, and you probably shouldn't have. But I've definitely gotten a lot better at that, and try to kind of just treat myself like I would a patient, even though, you kind of have the emotional side as an athlete. It's hard to take a step back sometimes, even if you do have a background in, coaching or physical therapy or whatever. But I've since gotten a lot better at that, and it's definitely helped a lot. I have some friends who are PTs who I know tend to overanalyze themselves a little bit. I try not to do that, and just do what I can to focus on, my specific weaknesses or areas of improvement. So it's kind of nice too. Like, all my training buddies and like teammates would, they kind of come to me for injuries and whatnot, and I enjoy doing that, and I really like treating athletes too, just because you kind of have that perspective on things. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely been more helpful than hurtful. That's for sure.
Well, that's good because you think about like, the chef doesn't cook at home, so you wonder if the
Yeah,
PT takes it home with him as well.
yeah. No, there's definitely a little bit of a balance. You can kind of tend to overthink things sometimes, but for the most part, it's been helpful since, I'd say, like, when I started physical therapy school. I like My injuries went down, quite a bit. Didn't have to, I kind of knew how to self treat some things, and just did a better job of not like pushing through injuries, or when to push and knowing when not to push. So that's been helpful, but it doesn't help with things like bike crashes or
No.
tripping and breaking your ankle. So no
Mm-mm.
luck there.
Mm. So COVID hit us all for a loop. We were all expecting to race in 2020, and then like literally right when triathlon season started this time last year, it was a no-go.
Yeah,
But you went out and did something very interesting during COVID. Can you tell us about what you did?
sure. Yeah. So like I said, I COVID happened, broke my ankle like right at the same time. I think I broke my ankle like end of March last year. So the first bit I was just recovering and doing swim bands. This was about all I could do, or like rowing like with one leg. But I ended up, kind of, ankle was taking its time to heal up. So I got the clear to bike and get back to swimming, but I wasn't able to run yet. I wasn't working, no races in the foreseeable future. And so decided to just, I could bike, I couldn't run. So I decided to bike across the country, and just kind of got a buddy who was willing to do it with me. And we just kind of dirt bagged it and camped in parks and rode our bikes across the country. So it maybe wasn't, you know, the most ideal training for triathlon as far as, swimming and running. But I just kind of was like, it wasn't looking like any races were going to happen last year. I didn't know when I'd have the opportunity to ever do something like that again. So took a little bit of a break, and just I think it took us like 6 weeks or 40, like 37 days, I think, of riding, to go from Maine to Oregon. And it was awesome. It was a blast. So definitely worth it. And it was pretty motivated to get back into triathlon once I was back and the ankle was good to run, and it was definitely worth it. So
Nice. How much logistics did it do? I've heard other people doing these sorts of things, and some of them get really like know everywhere, know what time they need to be, have a squad with them. Were you? It sounds like you
yeah,
said you were dirt bagging it. So did you just say like, Oregon is that way? Let's go.
yeah, basically, like, I mean, it came together very last minute. It was like, I think 2 weeks before we decided, like, okay, we're going to do this, because there's so much up in the air with COVID and all that stuff. And I had like a follow-up appointment like the day before we left for my ankle, and I was like, is it healed enough for me to do this? And he was like, yep. He's like, just stay on your bike. And so we really did not have much of a plan, and we knew we were going to have to, do a lot of like camping and stuff. Just, we're not going to be staying with a lot of people with COVID. Last thing we wanted was to, like, get COVID and spread it across the whole country. But so we just had a couple bivy bags, and pretty much like a typical day, we'd like wake up, eat tortillas and peanut butter, and pedal west. And then around like 80 or 90 miles, we'd start looking ahead, like, okay, where's a grocery store? Where's like a little town that we can kind of camp in, and we'd look for like, baseball dugouts or whatever, and just kind of see what it was looking like, and maybe jump in a lake or something for a shower, or use somebody's like hose, or it was very very like seat of the pants kind of thing. So my friend would make fun of me because I was a little bit of a weight weenie. I like cut my toothbrush in half and tried to pack light, but it was good. Yeah, we kind of took the bare minimum and just lived off peanut butter and tortillas. And by the end of the trip, we had discovered chocolate frosting was like the most calories per dollar and pretty light. So it was good. Yeah, it was a fun trip.
Nice. Did you come away with any big enlightened moments from that sort of experience?
Yeah, I think at least like especially pertaining to triathlon, it was like I think especially like you start talking to other pro triathletes, and there's very much like a fear of what is everyone else doing, especially during COVID. Like you see like some people are like, oh, this person has access to open water or pool, and like some people are stuck up north and they can't swim, they can't do this, they can't do that. And like that's something that everybody feels. I think that pressure of just consistent training, because that's how you get good, obviously. But for me, it was kind of eye opening, like to have that experience where I'm disconnected from that world, kind of, and not, checking my Instagram, like what are other athletes doing, like not on Strava, like we're just kind of out there on the road, like kind of getting in touch again with like why we do it and why it's fun to like kind of explore your limits, and like ride, 120 to 140 miles every day, and just like enjoy that side of things without worrying about falling behind or being ready for a race. And that definitely, I'd say, kind of like almost like rejuvenated the want to get back into triathlon and just continue competing for me. It was kind of frustrating, after a couple of seasons of not being able to race, due to injuries or perform how I wanted to. So it was kind of nice to take a little step back and just really enjoy like the sport for like at the most basic level. So that was definitely a big takeaway. And it just kind of like, I think that little bit of a break or step back is something that I'll probably kind of incorporate, maybe not to that extent, but something just to give the mental side a chance to just like enjoy, enjoy and get back to like, why is it that we do this? Like for me, like I just like to have fun and see how far you can kind of push yourself. And that was like, and that was all we were doing. So that was the takeaway, the long-winded answer to your question, but
That's good. It's a few of the other professional triathletes have had, while they didn't do something as adventurous as you, I think everyone kind of appreciated that break and the step back and the kind of relief. But now, fast forward 12 months, I think
yeah,
we're just all like, okay, we've had enough.
yeah,
Can we
we're ready.
please just race and see people,
Yes, yes, I'm definitely feeling that now. So
You recently moved from New England to Colorado. So tell us about that move. How are you finding Colorado?
yeah, it's been awesome. It's been absolutely awesome. This is like the triathlon capital of the world. I feel like everybody's out here. There's always somebody to ride with or train with, and um, for the most part, the weather is much better than New England. We have this past weekend it was like 70 degrees, and there's snow on the ground still because we had a giant blizzard the weekend before. But other than that, it's been a lot more outdoor miles, a lot less time on the trainer, and so it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Nice. And you're in Boulder, right? So, I mean, you must be running into like Rennie and TO and all that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
stuff.
I'm just south of Boulder, so Louisville, which is takes maybe 10 minutes on a bike to get up there. But yeah, everybody like I went and swam at a buddy's pool up in Boulder yesterday, and probably like everybody there is a triathlete, or like it's just such a tight knit community. Like you see people out riding, and it's like everybody kind of knows everyone or does triathlon, and that's been really neat. So
Well, that's cool. So tell us about You got your A squared right before you broke your ankle, but you must
Yeah.
have had time to ride this Speed Freak by now. Tell us about how you're finding the Speed Freak.
Yeah, I've been loving it. It's one, it's really easy to kind of work on yourself. That's definitely a nice thing. And once we get back to traveling, like just being able to take it apart, put it back together, flying to races, and everything's gonna be nice. I'm actually just doing a little work on it, swapping out the chain rings now today, but it's been great. I absolutely love it, and it's simple and it's fast, and it's I just can't wait to race on it. It's like I've had it for like a year now, and there haven't been any races, or I was injured, and so I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to get on it and get racing.
Yeah, I have similar excitement. I got mine back in July, and so I'm waiting to get those fast bike splits, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So you're a little bit different from some of the athletes we have interviewed who come from a running background, a
Mhm.
little bit of a swimming background. You've come from a swimming background and a biking background. So I always like to ask, because most of us didn't grow up doing all three sports. I think the next generation coming up certainly will be triathletes from a young age.
Yeah.
How did you find picking up that third sport, and did you struggle with it, or did it just fall into it quite easily?
Yeah, so I ran a little bit, like I think I did like middle school cross country, and I did cross country like my freshman year of high school. So I had like it's not like I'd never ran before, but I definitely, you know, going to like shifting to triathlon, like running was definitely my weakest, right? So I've always been a swimmer really at first, and then the bike really improved just as I got into triathlon. But it's definitely for me, um, I kind of made the decision to shift to long course. My coach initially was having, the coach I was with wanted me to give the short course racing a go in the draft legal, which I did like one pro race, a sprint draft legal race up in Canada before I had that bike crash. And the swim was good. Like I came out front pack, like bike felt fine. Like came off the bike like right at the front, and then it's like, if you're not running like sub 15, like you're not gonna win. And if you're not like super fast, like you're gonna have issues there. So I feel like the longer it gets, the better I am with running. So the long course, shift to being able to put some time in on the bike into some of the runners, and just hold a hard pace, but not like sprinting all out is definitely more doable for me. But yeah, it's definitely been nice to, after turning pro, went out east, and pretty much everyone I was training with was an XD1 runner. So you have all these like D1 runners just kicking your butt every day. It definitely helps with the run. So and training out here now has been, just great, because there's always somebody to run with. There's miles and miles of trails. There's, I've been going up and doing this famous boulder run on Magnolia Road up in the mountains the past few weeks, and it's kind of been kicking my butt. But I think it's really, really helpful for just developing that, that third leg. So we'll see if it pays off.
Nice. For all of us non-runners out there who try and put as much time in as we can and then just hold on for the run. It's
I
nice to
know, I'm
hear
sick of
from
that. I'm sick of
it.
like listening for footsteps, and hoping I put enough time in on people, because that's usually, the swim is like when I did my first pro half Ironman, the swim I was ready for like kind of the ITU intensity, because I had done that, that pro race, that pro draft legal race, and it's like washing machine, like you're getting tossed, like, and so I was ready for that and prepared for that. At the first like 70.3 pro race I did, and it ended up being so nice. Like it was just so, I just was like, right, just latched on the leader's feet and just like cruised the whole thing. And there was like a little stand-up paddleboard guy who leads you, so you don't really have to even like sight a whole lot. There's just a paddleboarder right in front of you, and it was awesome. It was like I was like first onto the bike. I was like, wow, that was I hope every swim like that is like that. So I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it'll get a lot harder, but it definitely doesn't feel as frantic, and like, you know, you're not getting like kicked and punched in the face. At least if you can, stay up front. But so it's nice to have that swim background to kind of rely on. But definitely need to to get stronger on the run if I want to, start getting on some podiums and doing well in the long course racing.
Nice. So yeah, tell us what your race plans are for 2021. What you doing?
Yeah, so actually this week I'm trying to figure out logistically if it's going to happen, but I'm looking at potentially starting the season off down in Cancun in May at Challenge Cancun. Couple things I gotta figure out there, but I'm kind of hoping that'll be my first race of the season. Otherwise, first race will be a little rust buster, the Colorado Triathlon, just an Olympic distance here in Boulder with the Boulder Reservoir, and that'll be a couple weeks before 70.3 Des Moines, which I'm really excited for that one. That's my hometown race, and I've grew up kind of biking on those roads and did the Hy-Vee triathlon once when I was in college, and so really looking forward to that, having some family and friends come out and watch there, and it should be a good pro field. And then Boulder 70.3 will probably be the next race. That's the following month in August. And so Boulder 70.3, and then depending on how those first few races go, kind of plan out the remainder of the season. And once right now, like the Ironman Pro schedule they're not going too far out, I think, at this point, just with all the uncertainty with COVID. But we'll see. Probably maybe get down to Waco or Indian Wells in December. But for sure, right now, looking at Des Moines, looking at Boulder, looking at a couple of those Boulder local races, and then we'll kind of plan out the rest of the season towards the end. Hopefully Challenge Daytona, but we'll see. That one's a ways off in December, so that should be good though.
Nice. Well, we'll be following you. We look forward to seeing you on the Speed Freak for sure. So how do we follow you online?
Yeah, Instagram, eculbs, ECULBS. That's usually where I'm posting stuff, and can follow along there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us, Evan. We look forward to following your races in 2021 and catching up to hear about how they go. And we're sending all the good vibes for no broken bones. And we trust that you will keep yourself healthy otherwise, as
Yeah,
the PT that you are.
Healthy 2021, race fast, have fun, get on that
Mm-hmm.
Speed Freak, it'll be good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evan.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.